Endless Sports.
We got the head coach for the Norco softball team, Rick Robinson. And Coach Robinson, the #1 seed going into the playoffs. I feel like all is right in the world with Norco back on top in softball. When you go into the playoffs as the #1 seed, you guys have been there before, but is it more pressure? Is it bigger expectations? Did you expect to be in this spot? How would you kind of look at the regular season going into the playoffs now?
I wasn't sure. I didn't really know how it would play out. But I wasn't, at the end, I wasn't surprised when we were #2, sandwiched between Los-Al at 3 and Huntington at 1, and then when Los-Al beat Huntington. I didn't know, and we had beaten Huntington, or we had beaten Los Alamitos twice and Orange Lutheran once. So if those are the 2 and 3, it kind of made sense. But in the way they do it, where it's the number of home games, I don't know if when being #1 is always an advantage or not.
Yeah, the old coin toss, right? After you get that first round home game, and who knows what's going to happen, beyond that.
I mean, there's been years that we started off at home for the first game and never got home again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, in years past, these Norco championship teams, do you remember, like you just said, did you guys have to go on the road consecutive weeks or games and win those games? Or did you have like somehow the stars and moon aligned and you were at home for a couple of those?
You're always we were home for a couple, but I think we had to, I know of 3 times in that run of 4 trips to the finals, we had to go win the semis on the road. So, and that's always, in my opinion, the toughest one to win because you're that close. And
the championship's a neutral site game, right? I mean, so you get there and, the place is packed.
It's no longer a neutral site game.
Oh, the home team can host the championship?
The semifinal is no longer a neutral site game.
No, I'm saying about the championship game. Like the semifinal is big because you could be home or away, but once you get to the finals, it's neutral. It's up in the air. It's 50-50. You're both going to have a lot of people there. It'll be packed in Irvine, and it feels like a big time championship game.
Right, and you're playing on the last day of the season. It's the semi. There's still, when you get knocked out of that one, it's always that something not, you haven't finished the season. Yeah,
you want to be the last team standing. You want to be playing that final game, like on Saturday night, like literally the final game of the Southern Section season. Coach, just in general, when you saw the Division I bracket come out, not a huge surprise. You guys were at the top of the bracket, #1. You get a first-round bye. You'll play Thursday. But when you saw some of those first-round matchups, including the wild card games, man, Coach, there are so many good teams in Division I.
Well, Division I right now is if you have a bad day, you are done for the year.
Yep.
And that's going to be with any team in the bracket. So you better be hitting on all cylinders when you step on the field the first day. And I mean, I look at some of just the wild card games, and I almost want to not go scout ours and go watch some of them. Just being a fan.
Yeah, that's some good softball taking place in the wild card game. They feel more like, I don't know, quarterfinals, maybe even semifinal matchups, some of these games that are going to be taking place on Tuesday and going into that first round coming up on Thursday. Coach, if you were going to characterize the way your team has been able to win games this season, there's a couple games where you scored a lot of runs. I'm thinking off the top of my head of that Roosevelt game, that final game against them. But has it been pitching in the circle? Has it been the bats? I mean, how would you kind of characterize the way this Norco team has won this season?
We've won as a team because there's been days we've pitched really well and didn't hit the ball too much. And we've won that 1-0 or, 2-1 game. But there's also been games where we score a lot of runs. It's a roller coaster ride. We have good offensive days and, some slow offensive days, some good pitching days. We've used 3 different pitchers in multiple games. So it's by committee. And I think the biggest thing is sometimes our production is from the bottom of the lineup. It's not the same 1 or 2 players doing it every game in and out. So it's definitely been a team effort as much as any year we've ever had.
And what do you think that means when you have people, some players maybe at the bottom of the order that are contributing? So that kind of alleviates some of the pressure maybe, right, off the leadoff hitter or the 3, 4, 5 hitters. Like if hey, our 7, 8, 9 could be a 3, 4, 5 on any other team. Like these players can contribute like that.
Right. I mean, that's always important because not only does it turn the lineup over, but it gets runners in scoring position for the top of the lineup.
Yeah.
Our last game of the season, our number 8 hitter hit 2 home runs, a double, and then a bunt single. So, when you can do it from all different directions, that puts so much pressure on a team.
Coach, going into a big game, do you ever have a feeling like, hey, we've been hitting the ball really hard, I have a feeling we're going to score a lot of runs today, or maybe vice versa. Maybe you're like, man, our pitchers have been really dialed in. This is going to be a low-scoring 1-0 or 2-1 game. You've been around softball for a long time. Do you ever get a feeling going into a big game the way it might kind of pan out?
Well, you think so. You think, okay, right now going into this week, we're hitting the ball really well. But then that usually means it's going to be a tight 1-run game because every game is going to be a little different. And this is a team we haven't even seen this year that we're going to play in Gar or Lucerna. So matchups are always the issue. Sometimes you match up, and it also can be, do you have an umpire with a very tight strike zone or a wide strike zone? That can change the dynamic of the game also. Go to an offensive game or a pitcher's duel.
Coach, again, have been around softball for so long, and you've done some, awesome things at Norco. You've got the championships to show for it. Does it ever get old? I mean, does it feel just as fun? Like the first time you made a playoff run and made it to the finals, does it feel just as fun doing it here in 2023?
Yeah, I mean, on the field it's always just as fun. Every year's new, and that's why you do it. It's to make these runs. I mean, as I tell the team every year, we start working out in August, and all 30 plus games of the season are built for these 5 games. Everything we're doing is for this one tournament. So yeah, I mean, you live for this little run and this moment, and that's what you really try to build in the players also. And I think that's part of the success we've had is that we build everything. Everything we do is to build for that short playoff run.
Mm-hmm. All right, Coach, finally, let's do a little name dropping. I know Maya Perez is hitting bombs, but who are some of the players that have really stood out for you this season to get you to this point?
Well, I mean, Maya Perez is Maya Perez. I mean, she can put a run on the board every time, but we've also had Alyssa Hovermill, who has our top batting average, and she's hit I think it's 10 home runs, and she's driven in 48 runs. Then we have Riley Potter, who had never hit a home run before this year, our catcher. She has 7 home runs with 30 RBIs. But then also Maddie Severance, who moved into the leadoff spot from the 9 spot, from the 2 spot, and she's hitting almost 500. So she gets things going. So it's a different group, setting things up. But we have 7 seniors, and those 7 seniors have really contributed, 2 in the circle, and then Maya in the circle and offensively, but also all of them with the bats.
Yeah, like you said, this team can score a lot of runs. There's a lot of power up and down that batting order. Coach Robinson, listen, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck on Thursday in the official first round of the Division I playoffs. And again, Norco, the number 1 seed going in. Coach Robinson, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you for having me.
You got it. That's Rick Robinson, the head coach of the Norco softball team here on the Inland Sports Show. Thank you so much, Coach. Really appreciate the time.
Inland Sports.